Hey guys, so welcome back to another installment of new series for this. This video is fairly late, which is due to a large range of things, and in fact, my desk is a bit of a mess because I had to take a extensive exam this week that ended up requiring me to change a whole bunch of things. But of course, we are interestingly enough the last episode of season 2 of new series for Dis for Before We Were Free by Julia Alvarez. So let's go ahead and have our tea and get started. So today's is rooibos and cinnamon. So it's a bit warm, like in the back of the palate. It almost reminds me of uh, whenever I drank, it reminds me of a fireball. But it's good. And of course, we're in the National Honor Society cup. So in this, I'm going to focus both on what we read this week as well as the piece that we were supposed to read for the following week, just because um, that way we can focus more on the new book that we're going to be starting next week. So, um, kind of, we see this transition of otherness. Now, that's kind of been the focus for this book, which is, how does otherness form and things like that. In this part, we see the transition of otherness in new series Who Dis, and for Alvarez's book, as Anita and her family, shortly after the assassination of Trujillo, as well as before. One of the best instances is whenever otherness is completely annihilated. It is gone for a few pages. Um, when Anita and Oscar's father, are in a car accident, their tail ended, and the trunk of the car is messed up. And for that moment, everybody's coming to the car to make sure everything's okay. There's police officers that, witness it, so they come over. We see the person in the car, that ran them, they get out, they kind of go to the vehicle, as well as Oscar, his father, Anita, and they see what's in the trunk of this car. And in the trunk of the car, there's ammunition, there's weapons, stuff like that. And everybody sees what's in the trunk. Now, ordinarily, you might think, oh no, this could be bad. But in that moment, there is a deletion of otherness because everybody understands one, what does this mean? What is here? And of course, um, it's funny because for Anita, she acknowledges that this is what is picnic, um, which is kind of like the code that they've created. The family had to create a code as well as the broader underground. But she realizes what this is, and you know, they all understand what is the picnic. They understand that this is for the revolution, this is for the assassination of Trujillo, this is for the changing of the government. The police officer, everybody, and in that moment, they all simultaneously delete their otherness. The police officers, the other driver, everybody, they acknowledge what is going on, and they can realize that this is for a cause. And their otherness is that they are now going to join for a moment, and they fix it. They've, put a bungee strap over the trunk of the car, keeping it closed. And in that, their otherness of who they are, who they represent, ends. But upon the moment that it's fixed, everything goes back. Everybody's otherness re exists. Everybody has to basically understand that they are not one and the same again. They were one and the same when they were making this exist, making it happen, but it goes back to normal. Life doesn't stay in a deletion of otherness. Rather, the otherness is forced back in on every individual. They can't simply say, oh, well, we're now going to be one. So the implementation of otherness is forced. As we see then later on, we see the otherness then be compounded harder on, you know, Anita and her mom as they're hiding in Oscar's family home after the assassination because her father was connected to the assassination. So Anita and her mom are now others, inside of the otherness that is Oscar's family. They are the others in the broader Dominican Republic. So they are forced to be something that is constricted. They are no longer part of the broader community. They are in hiding, which forces otherness to exist for them, even though outside of the home, they are not the other. But because they are forced to go in hiding, the hiding itself creates the otherness. Now, to try and not give any spoilers and to keep with the week, we see once again this transition of otherness. Alvarez does a very good job at depicting what otherness is, and it is this new idea, this possibility that people can exist as otherness, but it isn't usually good. We saw the otherness existing in Oscar and the other diplomatic kids. But when Anita and her family are then able to be evacuated out of the Dominican Republic and they are now living in New York, they are the other. They are separated from everybody. There is nobody like them. Now they can kind of find a community possibly, but they can't find the meaning of a community that would allow for them to not be otherness and be the other in America because America is not the Dominican Republic. So uh, there's such a complexity there. There's the racism, there's, you know, kind of the, language barrier. Even though Anita and her family can speak English, they can make English, work, they are still struggling because they are not native English speakers. There's the furtherness that is simply that they are refugees. Anita is in a kind of Catholic school, so they are discussing what refugee kind of means, and there's this otherness that is implemented just because you're a refugee. That label makes you another. So there's this kind of mixing. How do you exist as the other in a society that will treat you differently? You are not the American, you are the refugee Dominican person that is existing. And there's a very good scene where we see Anita being, harassed by a store owner. And of course there's so many things that you could put onto that, about maybe theft. We don't know really the background of the store owner, so there's things there. So it's very important not to say, oh, he's just a bad person. At the same time, there is the otherness that has to be dealt with, and I think that that is something that Alvarez does so well in this book. This, creation of otherness, this absorption of otherness, and then this permanent label of otherness, that we see developed from Oscar to Anita, in the Dominican Republic to Anita in um, America. And, you know, I think the word refugee is beautiful. It's a very good word that can be used. So where does that leave us? I think that if you're going to look at this book as an understanding of what otherness is, it is beautiful. It is perfect. And um, especially it's written for a young audience. So it is very good if you want to teach it for otherness. But um, I think it is interesting, especially whenever we see this transition from otherness as, oh, it's the other people to now I am the other. So I think that's everything I really wanted to say. Of course, I'll come out with a video about this, my review and everything. But as always, I hope you guys are filled with peace, love, and joy. Have a good one.